morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we're going to be taking a little bit of a look at Clay, a new supporter card, which is going to be coming out, well, it's going to be Cosmic Eclipse over here, it's going to be Dream League over in Japan, and Clay has never had a card in the Pokemon TCG before. He's making his debut. Don't know why a Gen 5 gym leader is suddenly coming around for the very first time now, just as we're gearing up to Generation 8, but who really cares, ladies and gentlemen? It's Clay. Now, our translation here does come from the lovely Joe over at Cerebi.net. And Clay is a supporter card that reads, discard the top 7 cards of your deck, reveal any item cards discarded in this way, and put them into your hand. So what you're doing here is basically digging for item cards. This can be an incredibly powerful supporter, like an exceedingly powerful supporter. It can be utterly over-the-top phenomenal. But it's got to be played in the right kind of deck. This is not the kind of supporter that you can just chuck willy-nilly into any deck whatsoever, because you are discarding everything. Which means if you end up discarding a whole bunch of supporters, they're gone. And okay, fine, we're going to have Palpad. That's not being lost to the rotation. But still, ladies and gentlemen, it's not exactly what you want to be doing. And what happens if you discard your Palpad? Trick question. Palpad is an item card that goes back into your hand. So, look, it's not one of these where you are just blindly discarding. You are blindly discarding, but my point is you are going to have your item cards back. There's no chance of you discarding all of your supporter cards and discarding your Palpad here, because your Palpad is going to come back to you. But what if you discard all of your Pokemon? We're losing our rescue stretcher to the rotation. So we're still going to have Brock's Grit, but it's not exactly a great fallback option. It's your supporter for the turn. And one of the points I made a few times as we were coming around to the rotation, and it was revealed and we were talking about it a lot, was you can't just blindly be replacing item cards with supporter cards without taking a huge hit in the speed of your deck, which is not something most people want to do. And then, of course, you're discarding a whole bunch of your energy, and Brock's Grit will help you with that. But if it's a special energy like Triple Acceleration, it's not coming back. And sure, there's Pokemon like Oran Guru, which can help you out a little bit here, because they can recover anything. But it's a little bit awkward. There will be games, if you just throw this into any deck, there will be games where this goes terribly wrong, you discard the wrong thing, and it really ends up costing you. So you need to make sure you do this right. And one of the ways to do it is just go really heavy on item cards. Just go super heavy on item cards. Play a speed deck where you are just focusing on getting set up using your item cards. So, and I seem to be mentioning this in a lot of videos recently, but honestly it's because we're losing a lot of the better options. Let's take a card like Lure Ball. Lure Ball is great because you flip 3 coins for each head, put an evolution Pokemon from your discard pile into your hand. But Clay is going to discard the Pokemon, but then put Lure Ball into your hand so that doesn't get discarded. It goes into your hand, and then you can flip. And actually, Clay and Lure Ball becomes really, really consistent. It makes it a better Timer Ball, because Timer Ball lets you search your deck, but only on 2 coin flips, 1 for each heads, evolution Pokemon only. Lure Ball, you can blindly discard the Pokemon and get them back, so there is at least an argument that it's a little bit better in that regard. And you can end up playing a whole bunch of stuff like Acrobike to let you dig just that little bit further. You do have to play an item heavy deck here, although at this point be quite happy that Garbodor is rotated out. Because what you really want to be doing with Clay is digging for item cards. And yeah, you're going to discard a few Pokemon, a few energy, a few supporters, but you need to have item cards that can get them back, and you'll be fine. But at this stage, we really need to be talking about the new Excadrill. Now, when I talked about Roxy and Coughing, I had to combine them into one video, because Coughing literally does 1 damage to every one of your opponent's Pokemon if it got discarded using Roxy. Roxy, discard 2 Pokemon from your hand, draw 3 cards for each Pokemon discarded in this way. Excadrill is not quite as linked to Clay as Roxy is to Coughing, but we're not a million miles away here. So Excadrill's first attack does 30 damage, but it does 180 if you've got 3 cards or fewer remaining in your deck. And Clay is a phenomenal way to run through your deck as fast as you possibly can, and it is about the fastest way to go through your deck and get Excadrill rolling. But then again, Excadrill's second attack does 120 for a single energy, discarding the top 4 cards of your deck. Between that first attack and Clay, you are going to be running through your deck extremely quickly. But that's where we've got the other Excadrill, the one that's going to be coming out in Unified Minds, that lets you put 4 cards from your discard pile and shuffle them into your deck. So that's going to help you to recover anything you discard that you'd rather not have discarded, whether it's discarded with Clay or with the new upcoming Excadrill. So clearly, if you're playing some kind of double Excadrill deck, Clay is going to work beautifully here. But really, this is just for speed decks. I mean, we had Professor Sycamore back in the day and Juniper slightly before that, one kind of ran into the other, that discarded your entire hand and drew 7 cards. That's kind of cool. But now imagine you're digging for a rare candy. You've got the stage 2 in your hand, and you just want the rare candy. In that situation, Clay is better than Professor Sycamore. Because Professor Sycamore makes you discard the stage 2, and now in the next 7 cards of your deck, you have to find both the stage 2 and the rare candy. Whereas with Clay, you keep your hand, you retain all the cards that are currently in your hand, and then if there's a rare candy in the top 7 cards of your deck, you grab it, along with all of the other item cards. When you're sitting down looking to play Clay, you need to be thinking, right, what's in my deck? And you need to be looking at what's in your hand, what's in the discard pile. Hopefully at that point you've looked through your deck and figured out roughly what your prizes are. And you need to figure out, right, what are my chances of discarding something I really don't want to discard? And you've got to weigh that up against the benefit of grabbing all of your item cards. Because we got Poké Gear 3.0 back recently, got a reprint in Team Up. And that allows you to go a little bit more item and a little bit less supporter. So I'm not saying this is exactly what you do, but bear with me. How about 4 Poké Gear 3.0, 4 Clay, and that's basically your supporter line. And then you've got lots and lots and lots of items. Maybe something like Order Pad. And the goal here really is to allow yourself to draw through your deck. So you're definitely going to want to play Acrobike here. You're going to want to play Custom Catcher that lets you draw until you've got 3 cards in your hand. Now, something like Excadrill, which is a stage 1 Pokemon that attacks for 1 energy, is a nice example here, because you don't need to play that many Pokemon cards, and you don't need to play that many energy cards. So you just load up your deck, filled with stuff that you can use now. And the 2 Custom Catcher will give you Gusting maybe at some point. An Order Pad will help you find one when you got 1 in hand. Or Custom Catcher will allow you to draw a couple of cards. An Acrobike will allow you to draw some cards. And then while you're there, you play a couple of disruption cards, something like Chip Chip Ice Axe, that lets you essentially fix your opponent's top deck. It lets you look at the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck, put 1 on top their deck, and shuffle the other 2 in. It's kind of nice for making your opponent have a bad top deck next turn. These are the kind of decks in which Clay is going to excel. In your standard deck, Clay is way too risky, because you are discarding the top 7 cards of your deck. Any Pokemon, any energy is gone. Any deck that relies on special energy, since Special Charge went away a little while ago, you just cannot rely on playing, unless you're in Expanded and you've got Special Charge, because Special Charge comes back. Anything that you can recover with item cards is fine, because even if you discard the thing, let's say double colorless energy, you won't discard the recovery, let's say Special Charge. But it is way too risky for the majority of decks. But if you get yourself a super item heavy deck, this just becomes a super fast, super aggressive supporter card that lets you get through your deck hyper quickly and give you a real advantage in speed. I love the idea of the new Excadrill, both of them, and I'm going to be testing it, and obviously Clay is a no-brainer in that deck. In other decks, no. But that doesn't make it a bad supporter. It makes it a specific supporter. In some decks, this is going to be absolutely beautiful. In other decks, you're just not going to want to play it. But that's okay. That still, I think, makes it a 4 WOSSy card. I don't think it's going to be for every deck. If I did, it'd be a 5 WOSSy card. But I think in some decks, it's going to be phenomenal, and that is going to be a not insignificant amount of decks. But I'd very much like to know what you think, ladies and gentlemen, so please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wossy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WossyPlays, where we talk about a whole bunch of games that don't even have any Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.